Have you ever seen a mannequin, a robot, or even a doll that just didn't look really normal? In fact, they looked kind of human. And you notice that there's something wrong about them and you can't help but feel extremely freaked out. This feeling of discomfort towards something that is very human-like is called Uncanny Valley. So today let's find out how this happens and how it's become such a popular topic all over the internet. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Weirded Out, where I cover all things dark and mysterious, like conspiracies or dark stories. So this is a little bit different from my regular true crime deep dives, but if you have any suggestions on anything that you would like me to cover on Wednesdays, feel free to drop in the comments. So if you're into all that stuff, please subscribe on YouTube and also follow me on Spotify. So let's get into today's episode. So I've been wanting to do a deep dive on Uncanny Valley for a while now because I always see it all over the internet, and it seems that most people don't really know the history behind it or what it even means. So let's find out. So the concept of Uncanny Valley was first introduced in 1970 by the professor Masahiro Mori, who worked at the Tokyo Institute of Technology. He was working towards the creation of robots with a more human-like look. And during his research, he actually noticed that when robots appear a little bit more human-like, they become more appealing to humans. But there comes a point when this resemblance actually becomes really unsettling. So Mori kind of explained that when climbing towards a goal of making robots look more human, our affinity for them increases until we come to a valley. There's this graph that will really help explain exactly how this happens. The vertical axis will represent how comfortable or empathetic we feel, and the horizontal axis shows how human-like an object is. So at first, the objects that barely resemble humans will make us feel neutral or even positive. But as these objects start becoming a little bit more human-like, our affection or feelings for them actually improve. So for example, if it's a cartoon of an animal that barely looks human, it's okay for us, it doesn't bother us, we're positive about it. But if it starts to resemble humans a little bit more, we start liking it more. But then something weird happens when these objects are almost human but not quite there, and that's when it falls into the Uncanny Valley. And this is when things get really creepy, because the almost human appearance triggers a sense of eeriness. And Mori even said that, for example, when a robot smiles, it gives us the feeling of discomfort and it makes us scared instead of happy. If a human smiles normally, right, if the person's not creepy, we will, feel the happiness that they're showing us. But if it's a robot, it just doesn't feel right. He also uses a really good example of a prosthetic hand to illustrate his point. So at first glance, the prosthetic hand might feel like it's convincingly real, just like false teeth. But when we look closely, something about it is not quite right and makes us very uncomfortable. So imagine yourself shaking hands with an artificial hand and feeling its limp, cold material. So the sudden realization that the hand isn't actually real makes us lose our sense of affinity towards it, making it uncanny. So summarizing, the Uncanny Valley describes our reaction that our brain literally just gives to us towards human-like figures. So it can be robots or many different things. And this can range from just feeling uneasy to being completely and totally freaked out. But why does this happen? Well, our brains are wired to recognize human faces and movements. So automatically, when something it looks human, but not exactly 100% human, our brain triggers some kind of discomfort. Like when you see a robot with really realistic features, but soulless dead eyes. It just makes you, it gives you the chills. Like, what is that thing? And some scientists think that this reaction developed through evolutionary psychology. So our ancestors maybe developed this sensitivity to detect potential threats like a predator trying to look human, diseased individuals, or even maybe an aversion to dead bodies to avoid diseases. And like I said, the Uncanny Valley doesn't just apply to robots, it can actually be many different things. Like for example, in computer generated characters for movies and video games. But what's really cool is that engineers, designers, and artists, they are aware of this Uncanny Valley phenomenon and they are constantly trying to fight it. So when they're developing or designing a game or a movie on how they're going to use CGI, they are always trying to make sure that the character is not bringing in this Uncanny Valley reaction. So all that history is pretty cool, right? And now you understand what Uncanny Valley actually is and how this came from. But now let's look at some really cool, creepy examples of Uncanny Valley. And I'd like to start with some cool robots. Well, kind of creepy. So first, say hello to Erica, also known as a pretentious method-acting humanoid robot. So Erica was developed by the Osaka University, Kyoto University, and the Advanced Telecommunications Research Institute International. Oh my god, that was a long name. But initially, she was set to work in broadcasting news in Japan. So she was just supposed to show up in TV and give you the news. But Erica has also been cast in a sci-fi movie. And despite her super realistic appearance, there's something about her that makes her extremely uncanny. And I couldn't find a lot of information about this movie she was supposed to be in, apart from this page on IMDb, so I don't understand if the movie actually came out or not. Maybe not. Maybe they figured out that it would be really strange to have a really uncanny robot acting in a movie, and people would definitely not like that. And next we have Humanoid R1. This weird looking thing literally looks like they were trying to create a creepier version of Casper the Ghost, but instead they created this extremely Uncanny Valley robot, and it's even described as an overgrown human fetus. Honestly, if something has been described that, then that's not a good sign at all. That's definitely not okay. But it's so weird the way it looks, it just gives me the chills. Like seriously, whose idea was this? So Humanoid R1 has a bald head and a torso without arms or legs. But despite this eerie appearance, developers actually think that humans will get used to it. Don't know about that, to be honest. But some people have actually gotten used to it and actually used Humanoid because he's just not a regular robot. It is actually an advanced video conferencing tool. So the way it works is that there will be a person in front of a webcam who will talk and move their head, and these movements are sent over to the robot through Wi-Fi, and whoever's on the receiving end miles away will actually hear the person's voice coming through the robot and the little movements from the head and twitches of their body.
そうかそうか。寝る子は育つと言うしな。でも最近ちっとも来てくれなかったからじいちゃん寂しがったぞ。
And don't get me wrong, it's a really cool idea, especially for people who have relatives far away or people who are sick and can't see their family for some reason. But they could have made it look a little bit more cute and less like it's demonically possessed. So for our final robot, we have CB2. And this one, honestly, I think it's even creepier than the previous one. Just imagine a gigantic 2-year-old child robot. Well, that's exactly what CB2 from the University of Osaka is. He's this gray, hairless little thing. He has camera eyes and has censored all over its skin. And it just really looks like a futuristic alien baby. And that's literally what it is. CB2 even stands for Child Robot with Biomimetic Body. So it was designed in 2006 to literally mimic the look and the behavior of a 2-year-old child. And it's being used by researchers to study robot learning and cognition behavior. And the creators act as they are the robot's parent, and they say that CB2 is actually developing a lot of different social skills. By interacting with humans and watching their face expressions, he's learning about emotions and how to react, and even mimicking those expressions. And honestly, as someone who's literally so scared of robots, I can think of a million different ways that this could go wrong. It's like they are trying to make robots look and act like people. Are they trying to replace us? But just look at CB2's face, it just gives me the chills, because even though it's supposed to look like a cute 2-year-old baby, it actually is so strange. The eyes are the worst part. Now, you've seen the robot examples, but the Uncanny Valley can also show up in movies. And a great example of that is the movie Polar Express from 2004, which is an animated Christmas movie about the importance of believing in Santa Claus. Super cute, right? But they made a huge mistake by filming actors with motion capture technology, which gave every single character dead eyes. And they also have these weird, creepy movements that makes the viewer experience really unpleasant. And it is still a very loved movie because of the plot and the Christmas magic, but you just can't help but feel really uncomfortable when you look at the animation. And there are many other movies who have Uncanny Valley examples, but another really good one is The Mummy Returns from 2001. So while the previous The Mummy had really good CGI and practical effects, the following movie really failed with the big villain of the movie, who was Scorpion King, played by Dwayne Johnson. Poor Dwayne after he saw himself looking like that, because tell me that is not the creepiest, ugliest thing you've ever seen. This is just like, who approved this? But it definitely gives uncanny, because you know that it looks like a person, especially that you know it's supposed to be Dwayne Johnson, but it's just so strange. Now, apart from robots, movies, and games, there are some really creepy images all over the internet that are the perfect examples of Uncanny Valley. There's even a really cool website that I'll link in the description of the video, which I really recommend looking into after this video if you want to have a lot more information. And they even have a gallery of the Uncanny, where there's a bunch of different creepy pictures that are literally the definition of Uncanny Valley. But a video that has been all over the internet, and a lot of people know it because of how creepy and weird it is the I Feel Fantastic video. If you were active on YouTube in 2010, you probably know this video. But if you're also into all this creepy stuff, you've probably definitely seen it. It is a really creepy video with a robot singing, and this song makes it even weirder. But what makes it worse is literally the robot itself, because it resembles a human so much. But again, like I said, it's not quite right. It just feels like something's wrong with it. Honestly, it feels like the robot is possessed. But also the story behind this video is kind of interesting, so I kind of want to give a little summary of it if you don't know it. So the robot's name is actually Tara, and she was created by a guy named John Bergeron. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but he's an engineer and music enthusiast. And his intention was just to showcase his passion and his work in robotics and music synthesis. He didn't really want to create anything creepy, But that's what happened. He created a very creepy robot, a very unsettling video overall, and it just went viral all over the internet. And the robot's emotionless delivery of the song just makes it even more uncanny valley. And with this, it actually brings me to another very popular internet subject, which is creepypastas. And the uncanny valley has definitely made its way to it. So if you don't know what a creepypasta is, I will give a very quick overview because I could honestly spend a whole video talking about this. But summarizing, creepypastas are basically stories posted online, and they can be just short stories or really long stories. They started being posted on forums, and because they were anonymous, people could just copy and paste any text they found on the internet and make up a story about how that was real, and there was no way to really check if it was real or not, so a lot of people would believe it. And there was also people who just wanted to share this weird creepy story with a large community and see their thoughts. But right now, creepypastas are much more than just little stories. It actually even has its own dedicated website. And from just stories, there's even the creation of entire new worlds. And one story that maybe you might have heard of that originated from a creepypasta, it's the Slender Man. And there's also the creation of background stories towards a picture, an image that was, viral online, or that someone just found a creepy image. And that has happened a lot with Uncanny Valley pictures. People will see that image and then go and create this crazy story and creepy, horrible scenario that maybe happened, but you don't know if it's true or not. Sometimes it's debunked, sometimes not. And you just have to use your imagination and get freaked out. And if you're really into that and want to feel a little bit scared, there's this really cool creepypasta that's called They Just Won't Move. And I won't give spoilers about the story in case you want to read it. I'm just gonna leave the link in the description. But it's a really cool story, kind of based on that Uncanny Valley concept. So it's definitely worth reading. It's a quick 6-minute read, so go and check it out. So we're moving up on the internet here, and apart from creepy videos and creepypasta, the Uncanny Valley has even reached TikTok. With a trend for beauty creators that they started making Uncanny Valley makeup. And the idea was for them to actually do the opposite, to look more robotic or like a doll or not very human-like. And on the other side of the app, the more into horror parts of the app, there are people who are using this to create these really cool short stories or jump scare videos with themselves looking really uncanny. So you don't really know if it's a human or not in that video because it just looks and feels really strange. And something else that I recently found out on TikTok that I believe it's a very good definition of Uncanny Valley. It's actually a dog breed called the Labradoodle. And honestly, I don't think I've ever seen that dog before TikTok, but they just look like it's a human wearing a dog suit. Their eyes look very human-like, and the way they move in some of those videos, it's like they are literally humans. It's so strange, and I would never be able to own that dog because I would be so creeped out. And there's even another dog that went viral in 2008 that was Yogi, a 1-year-old brown Shih Tzu poodle mix. And the same thing, look at this dog's eyes. Tell me that this isn't the creepiest dog you've ever seen, and tell me that it doesn't look like human eyes. I am so scared of it. It's actually so creepy. And there's definitely a lot of more different examples of Uncanny Valley out there, and I can spend hours just going through these creepy images because honestly, I enjoy getting a little bit creeped out. But I think that that's enough creepy for now. So what do you guys think about the whole Uncanny Valley concept? Have you ever experienced that feeling? And let me know in the comments an example of something that you think is Uncanny Valley. I would love to see some creepy examples. I hope you really liked today's video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. I also have submission forms in the description of the video where you can suggest a true crime case for Sundays or another subject for Weird Wednesdays. And unfortunately, I won't see you guys this Sunday for a true crime deep dive because I'm gonna be traveling. But when I come back, there will be some really cool stuff for you guys. So thanks for spending more time with me and have a lovely end of your week. Ciao!